Dear students, we are going to do module 7 of financial management, that is on time value of money. Let me tell you 6 topics we are going to explain in this module. The contents: first one is simple interest, second is compound interest, third is future value, fourth is compound factor values, next is fifth is doubling period, and sixth is present value computation. First point I am going to explain what is simple interest. Simple interest, you have to remember, interest is always calculated on the original amount invested. Say for example, if you are investing 10,000 rupees, rate of interest is 5%. So in 10,000 rupees only, the interest will get calculated. Whereas in compound interest, that is the next thing we are going to learn. Compound interest, first year interest will be added to the principal. Then that we will calculate. So that is the difference. Now, if you'll take that I told you, simple interest meaning on the amount invested only, interest gets calculated. And compound interest meaning whatever interest you earn for first year, it will get added to the principal amount, then it will be computed. That is the difference between simple interest and compound interest. So simple interest, there is a formula to calculate. Simple interest, SI is equal to P into R into T divided by 100. If you calculate one, 10,000 rupees invested at the rate of 5% for 3 years. 10,000 rupees, rate of interest is 5% for 3 years. So simple interest we calculate as SI is equal to 10,000 into 5 into 3 divided by 100. You will get rupees 1,500. So this is the interest you are going to get for 3 years. So each year you will be getting 500. The interest will be uniform when you are calculating simple interest, whereas it will be different in compound interest. So if you want to know the original amount you will get after 3 years, you have to calculate the 10,000 you invested plus 1,500 for 3 years, you received interest. So total amount you will get 11,500 after 3 years. Now we will learn about the compound interest. Now if you calculate the second point, that is the compound interest. So compound interest, there is a formula to calculate. A is the final amount, P is the principal amount invested. The original investment, 1 plus R by 100 to the power of T. R is rate of interest. So if you are taking the same example which you calculated for simple interest, 10,000 invested at the rate of 5% for 3 years. Equation is 10,000 into 1 plus 5 by 100 to the power of 3. You will get rupees 11,576. Now you have to remember, this is the total amount. This is the final amount you are getting. If you want to calculate the interest, 11,576 minus 10,000. You will get 1,576 as the interest. So this is more than the simple interest, because whatever interest earned in the first year, it's getting added to the initial investment. On that, we are calculating the interest. So that is simple. Compound interest is always better compared to simple interest. Now we will do one problem for simple interest computation. If you are investing 1 lakh at the rate of 5% for 5 years, what will be the interest? So how will you calculate? SI is equal to 1 lakh into 5 into 5 divided by 100. So you are getting 25,000. 25,000 will be your interest. So this is simple interest computation. Okay, now we will do one problem for compound interest computation. Compound interest computation, you have to remember, we are taking that example, 10,000 rupees invested at the rate of interest 12% for 3 years. So here you have to remember, there are different ways of asking. Sometimes they will ask you what will be the rate, yearly interest, compound interest. Then they will ask you half yearly, if interest is compounded half yearly and if interest is compounded quarterly. So they have to make a change. If it's half yearly, you have to do 3 into 2. If it's quarterly, equation will become 3 into 4. So this you have to remember, yearly, quarterly, half yearly. So if it's yearly, same equation we are using, A is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100 to the power of 3. 3 is the number of years it's invested. Quarterly meaning 3 into, if interest is compounded quarterly, 3 into 4 you have to do. If it's half yearly, interest compounded, 3 into 2. So if you are using this value, 10,000 at the rate of 12 for 3 years. So that meaning 10,000 into 1 plus 12 by 100 to the power of 3. you will get the value 14,050. If it's quarterly, this equation will become 3 into 4 and your total value will be 14,260. So you can see that if the interest is compounded half yearly or quarterly, it is better in terms of final amount what you receive. Now we will do one problem for compound interest computation. You can expect simple and compound interest computation problems for 2 marks. So if you do this, you know the equation now. 5,000 into 1 plus 8 by 100. This is annual computation. So you are getting the value rupees 7,347. If it's quarterly, 5 into 4. If it's half yearly, 5 into 2 you have to do. So you have to see the question whether you are asked to calculate yearly, half yearly or quarterly. Now the third concept we are going to explain. The third concept is future value. What will be the future value? See, you know that this is the important aspect in time value. If you have 100 rupees worth today, it will not be 100 rupees after 1 year because so many factors will affect the international politics or some change in government, war declared in other countries or inflation, government change in government policies, all these factors. So the value today is not worth the same value tomorrow or after 6 months or after 1 year. So future value you have to calculate. What will be my investment? If I'll invest 100 rupees today, what will be my returns after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years? So this is possible by calculating with the equation V1 is equal to V0 into 1 plus I. So V1 is the future value. That is what we are going to calculate. And V0 is the original investment. And I is the interest rate. So we will do one problem. Now if we do one problem, how you calculate the value of 100 if you are investing at the rate of 10? How will you calculate? You have to use this equation. V1 is equal to, your V0 value is 100. 100 into 1 plus 10 by 100. That is 10%. So you will get value as rupees 110. 10 rate of interest. 10 by 100 or you can write 0.10. So 100 into 1.10. You will get 110. So this is the, if you are investing up the value of 100 after first year. If you are getting rate of interest at the rate of 10%. Okay, now if you see this example, same, if this value, if they are not withdrawing, now they are investing for 1 more year. What will be the value? V1 is equal to, instead of 100, you have to write 110 into 1 plus 10 by 100. So you will get the value 121 will be your value. 121. So you have to remember 100 was the first year you invested. They are not withdrawing the interest and principal. So the second year when you calculate, you have to write 110. So if third year if you are calculating, this is V2, this is V3 if you are calculating, you have to remember 121 you have to write. 121 into 1 plus 10 by 100. So you will get the value 133 point. You will get the value 133.10. So remember, first year you calculated with principal invest 100. They are not withdrawing interest and principal. So second year when you are calculating, this amount you are investing here, that is that you are using for the calculation 110. Second year your returns is 121. You are not withdrawing amount, principal amount and interest for the whatever you have earned. So that third year when you calculate, you are calculating with 121. So the final returns after 3 years will be 133.10. Now, each year calculation is difficult. So what we will do now, any number of years you can calculate using this equation. That equation is Vn. N stands for any number of years. It can be 5 years, it can be 10 years, it can be 20 years. Usually in financial management decisions, investment, capital budgeting decisions are for number of years. So it will be 15 years, 20 years and all they have to calculate. So here V0 is the investment you are doing. This I is the rate of interest. N stands for number of years. Imagine the calculation. You are calculating for 10 years. Amount invested is 100 rupees and rate of interest is 10%. And the investment is for 10 years. So if you calculate this, you will get the value rupees 259.4. So any number of years, whatever rate of interest, you are able to calculate using this equation. Now we will do one problem for simple interest computation. If you are investing 1 lakh in savings bank account in a bank, the rate of interest they are giving is 5%. Your duration is 5 years. So investment, you want to know that how much money you will get after 5 years. So simple interest computation, how you will do? Simple interest is equal to 1 lakh into 5 divided by 100. You will get interest is 25,000. Simple interest will be 25,000. So this is what the simple interest computation, I told you 2 marks computation, you will get computation of simple interest and compound interest. Now the fourth point is compound factor values. See, compound factor values, usually we will provide the value, compound factor value when we are doing the problems. So if capital budgeting problems and all, we will give you the value. So here you have to remember, compound factor value will be the value we will get from the compound table. The table will be, you will be using that table when you're doing the problems in the other chapters, in the coming chapters. So compound factor value, when we have to use, see previous slide we have seen that now any number of years we can calculate the future value. So here if n becomes large, 50 years, 25 years, computation is difficult. So that is why we are giving compound factor values. So compound factor value meaning it will be readily available. So this value we will get. Imagine if you are investing 100 rupees. 100 rupees, rate of interest is 10%. What will be the value after 10 years? Compound factor value is given as 2.594. So what you have to do, you have to calculate the value you invested is 100 and compound factor value you are getting 2.594. So it's very easy to compute when you just have to multiply, that is 259.4. So in most of the capital budgeting problems and all, we will provide you this value. So that is 259.4. So compound interest value for rate of interest for the given number of years. It will be given in the question. So you just have to multiply. So you will get 259.4. Now the fifth point we are explaining, doubling period. What do you mean by doubling period? Doubling period is if I am investing 10,000 rupees today, when I can make it double, that means 20,000, whether it's 5 years or 6 years, and what should be the rate of interest. 2 rules are you can use for computing that. One is rule 72 and second is rule 69. Rule 72, the equation is doubling period is equal to 72 divided by rate of interest. Rule 69, the equation is 0.35 plus 69 divided by rate of interest. Now when you have to use rule 72 and rule 69, some problems they will ask you to calculate using rule 72, some they will ask you to calculate by rule 69. Sometimes you have to take the decision. So when you will take the decision, you have to remember one thing, when you are using rule 72, you can calculate the doubling period, that meaning the number of years and the rate of interest. 2 things you can calculate if you are using rule 72. But if you are using rule 69, the doubling period only you can calculate. That meaning doubling period is equal to doubling period is equal to 0.35 plus 69 divided by rate of interest. So this also you have to remember when you have to use rule 69, when you have to rule 69 and when you have to use rule 72. Now we will do 2 problems. Now if you do one problem using rule 72, 5,000 rupees you are investing at the rate of interest 8%. So how many years it will take to double that amount? So doubling period is equal to 72 divided by your rate of interest is 8%. So that is 9 years. Similarly, you can calculate the rate of interest also using this equation. So rate of interest, if you want to calculate, rate is equal to 72 divided by 9. Just cross multiply. So you will get 8%. So both the things you can calculate using rule 72. Now the next question is, we have to use we have to do one problem using rule 69 also. So if you are investing 5,000 rupees and rate of interest is 6%. How many years it will take to double the amount? So rule 72 if you will use, you are calculating 72 divided by 6. So you will get the value 12 years. 12 years as per rule 72. That is 72 divided by 6. 12 years. If you are using rule 69, 0.35 plus 69 divided by 6. You will get 11.85 years. So more or less same values you will get, but you have to remember both rate of interest and number of years can be calculated using rule 72, but only the number of years or the doubling period can be calculated using rule 69. Okay, now the fifth concept we will explain, what is present value or discounted value. Present value meaning is just the opposite of future value concept we already explained. Future value concept we explained, that is Vn is equal to V0 into 1 plus I. I is the rate of interest, V0 is the interest, the amount you are investing, Vn is the future value. N stands for any number of years. What will be the future value of 1000? If I am investing for 10 years or 6 years. So that is the future value concept. Now these equations are related. Now you are calculating the present value. If I want to get 1000 rupees after 1 year, rate of interest is 10%. What will be the present value today? That is what we can calculate using this present value. So you have to remember present value and future value, opposite concepts. One we will calculate the value of one today after few years. Second one, present value meaning you want to get 10 rupees after 1 year. So what will be the value today? So both the related concepts and these equations are also related. Now if you want to calculate, I want to get 1000 rupees after 1 year and rate of interest is 10%. How you calculate? So 1000 divided by 1 plus 10 by 100. You will get 990. Today's value is not 990, 909 you will get. 909. So that is the present value. So 909 if you invest today, after 1 year you will get 1000 rupees if the rate of interest is 10%. Now we will do one problem. If I am investing 5000 rupees, if I'm what will be the value I have to invest? I want to get 5000 rupees. Rate of interest is 10% and the number of years 5 years. I'm going to invest an amount for 5 years and the rate of interest is 10%, but my aim is I want to get 5000 rupees. So how you calculate? V0 is equal to 5000 divided by 1 plus 10 is the rate of interest and you are calculating for 5 years. So the value you will get rupees 3105. So if 3105 if you will invest for 5 years at the rate of interest 10%, you will be able to get 5000 rupees at the end of 5 years. So these techniques are useful in computing different aspects of financial management and evaluating the problems. So we calculated simple interest, compound interest, future value, compound factor. The values are given. Then the present value concept. So this is a very useful module when we are going to do future chapters where we have to use these concepts in detail. So this is what I wanted to explain. Happy learning. Thank you.